Well, of course, the Canadian Union of Public Employees, they say negotiations with the province will continue until 5 o'clock on Sunday evening as a possible strike by 55,000 education workers looms. Yesterday, we heard live from Education Minister Stephen Lecce, and today, Laura Walton, the president of CUPE's Ontario's School Board Council of Unions, is joining us live with the latest on the negotiations. Laura, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. First, we'll start off because we know that earlier this week you had said that both sides were very far apart. It was shortly after that that the strike notice was issued for Monday morning. Now that negotiations have been ongoing, can I ask, are you any closer to a deal at this point?
I believe a deal can be reached. And I think one of the things that I would caution, out there is that we need to go in with open minds. I have been at this table for a long time and I keep hearing, the same things. Well, if you don't sign this, then, we're done. And I think that that's really problematic. I think, we need to be going in and saying, what do we need? What do we need? And, I earlier said, I believe that Doug Ford, wants to see the same thing we do, which is well-funded schools where students have the access to the supports that they need and require to be successful and safe. And so in that vein, I think, let's go and let's get this done. There is no reason for kids to be out of school on Monday. Absolutely no reason for kids to be out of school Monday. We're committed to get a deal done. We respectfully set the timeline at 5 p.m. because as a mom, I need to know what I am doing the next day. And I'm sure there are many other moms just like me.
Right. And the education minister yesterday when he was on, and he's been saying this throughout the week as well, claiming that the union's campaign has always been about wages. And now that the wages, you have reached a middle ground there, that student services are being brought up as a sticking point for the very first time. How do you respond to that?
So for the very first time, that actually shows me that, in fact, what I had feared was always true, that there is a clear disconnect between this minister and the negotiations table. We put out in public our proposals back in August, and in there is a huge section that's all about the services that we know that people need, that students need, that families need. And how did they get there? Because we worked with families to say, what is it that you need to see in your schools? Let's get that into the collective agreement. So obviously, this minister has not reviewed the proposal package that was put out in August. And I heard members on your team, Sid was talking about it too. Like, it's always been there. It's always been there. And I've always been talking about better jobs and good services. I think it's really disingenuous to say this is the first time you've heard about services, because if this is the first time, you clearly haven't been listening.
The minister also mentioned that 1,800 additional jobs per year is something that was put on the table. But I know that you tweeted that evening that that's the first time you've heard of it. I asked him about that yesterday, and he said that was something that was offered. Is that the case?
I have never seen that offer yet to date. And so when I heard that, I was actually on a show where that came out, and I said, listen, if that is available, if those 1,800 new jobs are available to CUPE workers, get that to the mediator ASAP. Let me get that to the table right away so that I can be talking to my team about it. I really hope that that is there, because that's exactly what our school needs. Our schools need that type of investment that is going to get the services to the students instead of having parents scrambling to find those services out into the community. I've been told, no, under no circumstances will there be no new money. There's no new money is what I've been told time and time again. So to hear about these 1,800 jobs, listen, if the minister is still saying that it's there, I highly recommend that he gives the team that nod and we get that onto the table. We're waiting to receive it. We've been waiting now for almost 48 hours.
Now, worst case scenario, if a deal isn't reached on the weekend and there is a strike on Monday, the province has not committed to saying whether or not back to work legislation will be tabled. If that is the case, though, what's the next step for the union? Will another political protest similar to what you did during Bill 28, is that a possibility?
Well, and I think, what people need to understand is that we always are talking with the workers. What do the workers need to do? And I think, rather than focusing on, what can the government do to interrupt the free, negotiated agreement, let's just focus on getting an agreement done. I think that that's better for everybody rather than spending energies on drafting legislation, on drafting this, that, or the next thing. Let's pour all of our energy into getting a deal done because that's what students, workers, and families need.
All right, Laura Walton from CUPE, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
No